Hi guys, good morning. Can you hear me? I can hear myself. All right. I'm going to have to ask everybody to stand up. I apologize, please. Well, after all that stuff Martin said about sitting, like, come on, how could I? Yeah, and let's do some stretching. This lady has it right. So, like, take one arm and pretend you're picking, like, a very juicy apple. My God, it's so delicious. Yum. But there's an even better pear on the same tree somehow with the other arm. All right. Okay. Can we, like, wiggle a little, too? This is very nerve-wracking, by the way. I don't know if you can tell, but it is. I want to start by collecting some data. If you have ever been at work, like you've ever found yourself at work, please stay standing. Great. Great. Okay, good. And if you've ever found yourself at work and you hit a wall, like you were working on a project and you just hit a wall and you couldn't go any further, but you did, please stay standing. Okay, oh my gosh, that is horrific. But thank you for being honest, and you can also sit down. So what we just saw there, the thing that I'm about to share with you, can make sure that that never happens again. Like that scenario will never happen to you ever again. And what is that thing? It's play. And so I'm talking about play, which is that thing that you used to do as a kid all the time, at every opportunity. And now as an adult, you have to find an excuse or you don't feel like it's something you should be doing. I am here to completely dispel that notion. But first, we have to do something very important, which is to define play. So most basically, play is anything that you do that's just for the fun of it, like just for the pure joy, and it's transportive. It takes you away from the concerns of everyday life, from whatever you think you should be doing, and you get to go to another place. So you're like, okay, that's great, cool, excellent. But why is that important? Neurologically speaking, it is very important. So when you are playing, what's happening is you're creating new neural pathways, or rather your brain. You're just doing whatever you're doing, that's fun. But your brain is creating new neural pathways that lead to creative thinking and innovation and discovering things for the first time. You get to see and experience novelty. And what's also happening, if you're moving physically like Martin was talking about, you are releasing dopamine and serotonin, which are both mood stabilizers. So you get to return, after you're done playing, you get to return to whatever task you were doing before with more focus, with renewed focus, which is a pretty big deal, no? It's okay to smile, by the way, like help a sister out, come on. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's bright up here. You don't know what it's like, it's crazy. A lot of faces, bright lights. And another thing that happens when you're playing, especially if you're playing with other people, well, particularly if you're playing with other people, is that you're strengthening the connections between you. So what play is in the animal kingdom and in the child kingdom and hopefully in the adult kingdom very soon, is a way to safely test boundaries. So what you're doing is kind of having an interaction where there might be one person who's stronger or weaker at whatever play task you are engaging in, and that person has to like bring their level down to make sure that the activity keeps going. So they match the level of the other person and the play is allowed to proceed. So that teaches children in particular, and animals and us, big adults, the boundaries of that, how to keep play going and how to sort of respect the individual boundaries of all of our play partners. So, you know, this all sounds pretty good, pretty useful. So why are we not playing as adults? I really have no idea, but I'm going to take a stab at it. But before I do that, I do want to mention, I have a cheat sheet in my pocket, by the way, that I'm not going to use, but you know, it would be helpful in terms of the fluidity, but we're just going to roll with it. So the one thing I wanted to mention about play was that it's right here, like it's available to us at any time. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need any special location. It's free. You literally can do it anywhere. So that blows my mind even more in terms of why adults are not playing. You know what? I am going to use the cheat sheet. This is terrifying. Good Lord. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to acknowledge that. Nobody talks about this, but okay. So The big reason that I feel that we do not get a chance to play as adults is cultural. I think we live in what is a play-prohibitive culture that teaches us that play is for children. So there's all this focus now about programs for children so that they have access to toys and outdoor spaces and time to play, but none of this infrastructure is available for adults. But I want to think about what a child is and what a child grows into. A child grows into all of us. You guys were all children once, I do believe. And so, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, really. So children grow into us. I don't think our need for play goes away. And you know what? Our need for crib sheets also does not go away. We're just going to keep doing this. So sorry guys. Another thing about play is that it's a luxury, or a perceived luxury. It's something that you can do after you're done doing all the other things that you have to do. But the reality is that we need those cognitive breaks and that physical activity, those physical breaks, to have the energy to get all that stuff done in the first place. So play is not something you do after you do dinner and make sure the kids are where they need to be and make sure you've done all the work that you brought home with you, which is another abomination that we can talk about another time. But it's there, it's essential, and it helps keep all of the parts of our lives moving and going and actually happening. So we need to do it. And I want to tell you a quick little story. I was at an event, a more social event, less sitting, more drinking, as it were. Although maybe some of you are drinking. I have no idea, actually. I can't see that far. Hopefully not. It's kind of early. But anyway, I was at an event, and I spied a friend across the room, and he was talking to like a friendly-looking dude, and I was like, okay, I zeroed in on this guy. I was like, this is the guy. Like, he's definitely going to want to do this. And so I had a kaleidoscope in my pocket. Or not in my pocket. My pants are too tight. In my purse. In my purse, I had a kaleidoscope. And that happens, sometimes if you are me or like me. And so I walk over to this guy, and I said, hey, would you like to look through this kaleidoscope? And he says to me, I have not done that since I was a kid. And I perfectly honestly said, why not? And he says to me, this is, by the way, a direct quote. Maybe he's in the audience, who knows? He said, because I am a grown-ass man. And I said, I don't dispute that that is the case, but I don't think those things are mutually exclusive, whatever. But so that's, it's a lighthearted example, but I think there's a lot of truth there. I think what we're seeing is that this guy, who was very big and very manly and had no trouble proving his masculinity in an initial encounter kind of way, thought that he could not play with the kaleidoscope because he was a grown-ass man. And I just, I think that's indicative of a culture that tells us that play is, number one, not important, and definitely not important to adults and their progress. So let's recap a little bit. So we saw that play creates new neural pathways. So we've got more creative thinking, more out-of-the-box thinking, and we've got these chemicals coursing through that give us increased focus when we need it, and we have improved connections to other people. And so those things, I think, at worst, sound useful, and at best are absolutely essential to the workplace. But we're taught that play and work are distinct and opposing forces, and that when it's time for work, it's not time for play, and vice versa. And what else are we taught? Let's look at our little sheet. Well, so there are some companies that are pushing back against this assertion. You've all seen the giant play toys at Google, and maybe there's a ping pong table in an office where you work, or an office that you've been to in town. But the fact is that infrastructure like that is not enough. If that ping pong table doesn't come with a culture, a work culture and a social culture that tells you that it's okay to take a break and play there, or play in whatever other way you need to, then it might as well not even be there. It's completely superfluous. So what I'm asking of you is kind of gigantic. We need a sweeping cultural change, and we need to acknowledge that work and play are two sides of the same coin. I would argue that that coin is the coin of being human. Humans are not designed to sit. Humans are not designed to work for 8 hours on a particular task. So what I'm asking you to do is to wrap your heads around that and to take that with you. And when you need a break at work or at play or wherever you are, if you need another play break when you're already playing, I realized I just said that, that's cool. at work, at home, wherever you may happen to be, if you feel like you need to take a break, and you know when that is. You guys all stood standing. I don't think anybody sat down when I asked you if you'd ever hit a wall on a project. You hit a wall on a project all the time because you're designed to work for pretty much 90 minutes at once. And then, like, evolutionarily speaking, you're designed to, like, run away from a tiger or do whatever was going to happen every 90 minutes. Or that guy with the spears, but he was sitting, if you remember that slide. But anyway, what I'm asking you to do is just step a little bit outside of your comfort zone the next time that you hit that wall and say, you know what, I need to take a break. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take my coworker with me. I'm going to throw an airplane. Ooh, whatever it happens to be. And just take that chance. Because if we're going to move the needle, from play prohibitive to play positive, I'm going to need a lot of your help. So thank you, and get out there.